Hey there, welcome to an episode of the Gamers Guild podcast. You can find this podcast on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, and other podcast platforms, if you're interested in taking this on the go at least. Otherwise, you can find the episodes here on YouTube a week or two after they release on the podcast platforms. Thank you for spending your time with us, and we hope you enjoy. Hello there. Today marks my very first podcast, which is really cool, and I am so grateful for the support of this community to get to a point of even having one in the first place. And what is even cooler is for the debut episode, I am joined by Will Pagani, the development manager at Atomic Mass Games, and we are going to be talking about his approach to building his team of heroes and even then make a roster. My name is Nate, and welcome to the Gamers Guild. Hello. So I gave you a very small introduction, but if you don't mind, for people who don't know like what Atomic Mass Games is or who you are, do you mind giving a brief introduction of yourself?
Sure. Atomic Mass Games is the studio behind Marvel Crisis Protocol. And I am currently the development manager for Atomic Mass Games, though I started out as the lead developer of Crisis Protocol. Working alongside the lead designer of William Schick. We made the game, along with the help of a whole bunch of other people, but we did all the rules stuff.
Yeah, which is I'm really excited to get your two different approaches maybe to building a roster and getting to maybe battle it out at a later point in time. Really though, I just want to be able to break down your idea of how you go about building a roster. I know different people have different approaches. So when you are making a roster for a game night or an event, where do you normally begin and why do you begin at that point?
So to me, rosters, like whenever I'm playing any game, this isn't just Crisis Protocol, for any game, I will try and find a character that I like the backstory of, or I like the look of, or I think has really cool rules or something like that. To sort of latch onto and be like, this is what I want to build around, essentially. And that can be anything from, I think Magneto looks really cool, to I really like big high threat characters, or I like low threat characters. And it really depends on the game, is sort of like where I end up whenever doing any of those things. And MCP is no different. Personally, I like high threat characters normally. And then I like characters that can do a lot of weird things. So like non-standard play is something that I like. So sort of, I mean, Magneto is a great example. We made Magneto. He plays very differently from everyone else. And he does a lot of things that only Magneto does. So that's like a character that I really enjoy playing as and building rosters around. So I always try and find something like that that I want to focus my roster on. And then I sort of build around that concept or idea.
Okay, so after kind of identifying a main, maybe a theme or a character or something like that, you kind of begin to develop synergies around that, I guess?
Yeah. So what like, I mean, we can use Magneto as an example, even though I want to use a different one when we get farther in here. But sort of what works well with that theme. And then you can start adding in characters. You can start adding in tactic cards. You can start adding in crisis cards that are relevant to that theme and can either make it stronger or shore up weaknesses or just look cool. Like, I don't know. I definitely enjoy like high-end competitive gaming, but at the end of the day, it also has to look cool to me.
Yeah.
Like what? Yeah, I don't know. That's just a personal thing, I guess, on that one.
No, I mean you paint your forces to like, sure, maybe Baron Zemo wasn't in the Brotherhood of Mutants, but he looks really good in purple, and so does Magneto. So
yeah, exactly. And maybe you do some custom basing. You bring them all together, put some Rebel down there, some more Rebel.
There you go.
So yeah, I'm really big on that kind of stuff. Whenever I'm building a roster, is like it doesn't necessarily have to be like perfectly cohesive, because as you said, like Baron Zemo and Magneto would be really cool. So, but yeah, it's got a gel from an aesthetic and a play style.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess do you try to build it toward more, I guess, like maybe a control-y style? Maybe a good example of that is like the Web Warriors with all their pushes and pulls and throws versus something a little bit more attrition based, like Black Order might provide.
I think it really depends on what I'm trying to do with the roster, right? If I'm trying to
Hmm.
build a Black Order roster, I will like if I want to build an aggressive roster that's going to try and daze and KO people, I could be like, oh, I could play Black Order, I could play Brotherhood, I could play Midnight Suns. If I'm trying to build a more controlly one, I'm not going to be like, show me the controlly Brotherhood roster, right? Because that's just not what most of those characters do. Not
Yeah,
that you can't do things like that, right? There are definitely some powerful things in Brotherhood that can do that, but it's to me that's not the strength of that affiliation, so it's not really the direction that I would go if I was building a Brotherhood roster.
yeah,
Um, Personally, I prefer very aggressive gameplays though, in terms of like characters. So a lot of dazing, a lot of KOing, um, a lot of damage.
yeah. Gotta love the damage output. Cool. So that kind of gives an idea of when it comes to the characters that you're throwing in. And you touched on crisis cards very briefly. I want to dig into that a little bit more. Are you traditionally like, man, I want to try to load up a bunch of crisis cards that have the same threat? Or are you looking more at like maybe if you're looking at the secures, you're looking at the layout or map that they provide, kind of a thing?
Yeah, I personally don't look at threat too much. I like to stay very flexible in my threat available in my roster, so I'm not as concerned about being locked in or out of certain numbers.
Mhm.
I personally like looking at where the different points are on the table more than sort of what threat value I take. And the speed at which it scores is also a really big one. So I like slower scenarios with Black Order, for example, or faster scenarios with Web Warriors, right? So
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. When you're looking at extracts, Black Order, you want that Kree core, 2 points max per turn. Web Warriors, they're going wide. You want to be able to put out like a Cosmic Cube or Spider Infected or something. I like it.
yeah, and I mean this is kind of a throwback, but like way, way, way back when we were testing the original stuff for the game, one of the things that we noticed is I don't know if I like Cosmic Cubes with Web Warriors because they don't generally have a high stamina value. So taking
Hmm.
that damage every turn can be really punishing to them. So I would usually avoid that one with Web Warriors.
Interesting. I actually really like that one just because it gives them a little bit of extra power, which they
That's true.
seem
They
to
do
need
need
at
that.
times.
They do definitely need that.
Well, awesome. Thank you for those insights. Last question before we get into actual roster building. So obviously, you're looking for some synergies. You're looking for some aesthetic pieces. Do you have a character, maybe one or two, that swap in and out that you try to squeeze into every roster that you play?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I'm over here looking at my case of minis, trying to be like, which one of you? I really like Rocket in general. Like he just kind of goes everywhere and does all sorts of cool stuff. Um, he'd probably be my most likely include in that.
That's fair. And he only got better
It's true.
recently. It's a nice little buff to his durability, which, as somebody playing multiple Guardians players now, I absolutely despise. But that's just me and my gripes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So let's go through everything we just talked about and build a roster. And you mentioned
Sure.
you kind of want to start with a character, maybe it's the leader or just somebody who you think you can kind of build a list around. So I guess what is that starting point for you today?
So Blade is I don't know when this is going to release, but it's either already out or will be out soon, depending on where you are in the world. Um, and I love Blade. When I was a kid, I would watch the movies of Blade all the time, and he's one of my favorites. So let's build a roster around Blade and the Midnight Suns.
All right, let's absolutely do that. So we know Blade, and from here, do you want to kind of jump around and be like, cool, let's add a couple characters, then we can look at crisis cards and then splash some characters. Where do
Yeah,
you
yeah.
typically go from here?
So normally I would look at sort of what affiliation do I want to play, and then what are the strengths of that affiliation that I can use with characters, right? So Blade is obviously a leader for Midnight Suns, and his leadership is Bump in the Night that allows you to place within range one of yourself. which is very cool. I said I like tricky things earlier, right? So this leadership to me, it doesn't, a range one place doesn't seem like a lot, but it can really add up throughout a game. And it can be very interesting, especially with some other characters that are in this affiliation, like Ghost Rider, is one of my favorites to play with Blade.
Absolutely.
And this is sort of where I start thinking about things, right? Is like, cool, what uses the range one place best? Well, things with big bases. Well, Ghost Rider has a big base. He's in Midnight Suns. He's probably going to do well there. He has a range 3 normal attack, like a builder. So he can save an action from moving a lot of the time by using Bump in the Night, and then get to attack twice, which is really powerful. So to me, my list with Midnight Suns always starts out with Blade and then Ghost Rider. And then you can look into the other affiliated characters, because we're going to need at least 3.
Yep.
Dr. Voodoo, very popular, very powerful character. I would put him in this list. I would put Moon Knight in for a cheaper option as well. And I think Moon Knight comes in the Blade box and is not a particularly consistent character, because he does have that dice roll at the start of each of his activations.
Yeah.
For what he's going to do. But what I like about Moon Knight as a character, specifically in Midnight Suns, is one, he uses Siege of Darkness really well. And then 2, because of that inconsistency, you kind of have this little puzzle of playing, like, how can I use this character to the most of its efficiency every turn that I activate it? And I'm not going to know that beforehand. And that to me is really fun, because it sort of is like, he spikes very high in power level, but only if you can utilize those things. And Bump in the Night helps you get into position for the extra dice when you attack, or lets you move even farther when you get the free move and stuff like that. And you can get the power through all these different things. So that's probably where I would start off with the basics of the list, is like, pick 3 or 4 affiliated characters that I want to build around, and then go from there.
Makes sense. And you've got a pretty good number of range of threats in there, so you're able to be flexible, as you talked about earlier, with the different point totals. Being able to have the 2 4s and then a 5 can get you to some of those higher ones pretty easily, even if we don't add any other affiliated characters.
Yeah, and then we've also got a Moon Knight as well for a 3. So.
Yeah, Moon Knight in there help you go a little bit lower. From here, do you maybe look at another couple of affiliated characters like Black Cat or Iron Fist, or do you move to maybe fill in a 2-threat slot? Where do you go from here?
So from here, I would probably start thinking about what crisis I want to play and what other synergies do I want to build. So depending on the crisis that I pick here, so if I did things, I don't remember the map or letters, sorry, but the square map versus the diamond map are both ones that I really like Midnight Suns in.
Mm-hmm.
And both of those need characters to stand on back points a lot, because they just require that. And none of the characters that I've really picked, maybe Dr. Voodoo, really want to be doing that. So I would start looking at characters that want to do that also build into the strategy of the list. And to me, the first one that comes to mind, like straight up, is Winter Soldier. And I really like him. 1, he's got a long range attack, so we can stand back on the points. And then 2, he puts out an awful lot of bleed, and that is really good for Blade.
Yeah, cute little bit of synergy right there for sure.
So I'm a big fan of that. And then I'll start looking into, I want some more durability. Am I looking at Iron Fist with his bodyguard card, or am I looking at Venom with Lethal Protector? Venom can also bleed people. Blade loves bleed. So maybe I go for a Venom instead of an Iron Fist in this situation. And that's sort of how I start going from there, right? Is like, do I need more durability? Cool. What are my durability options? Well, I can take an affiliated Iron Fist. He's 3-threat. I can take an unaffiliated Venom, who's 4-threat. Both of them bring a bodyguard card, which I like. So you can just start going from there. So in this case, I would actually prefer Venom over Iron Fist. 1, I just love Venom.
Who could blame you?
Yeah, right. Like, I think Venom's super cool, and I think he works really well with Blade, because Blade, with his vampiric ability to heal off of bleeding characters, 1, Venom bleeds a bunch of people. 2, Venom bleeds people outside of his activation, and so does Winter Soldier. So I really like both of them with Blade. And then Venom can also bodyguard for Blade because when Blade does get low, if he's already activated that round, he's got to make it through the next round to be able to activate to heal. So that bodyguard from Lethal Protector can be really cool with Blade and really powerful. So that's kind of where I'm going. And I guess, what am I at? I'm at Blade, Dr. Voodoo, Ghost Rider, Moon Knight, Venom, and
Winter Soldier. Yep. So you got 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. We definitely need some lower threat characters. I mean, I don't know if Rocket would make too much sense here, even though I love him.
I was going to say, if you love him, he could be, if the points work out a little bit awkwardly on one of those D diamond shaped ones, you could have Rocket on that back point instead of Winter Soldier.
True. Yeah. So, and then if we get the square one, we can also put Winter Soldier on one point and Rocket on the other. And I really like the sound of that. Winter Soldier also helps us out in the lower threat value stuff. So we can do like an affiliated core of Blade, Winter Soldier, and Ghost Rider or Moon Knight. Moon Knight makes it 9 points for your base.
10 points, right? 3, 3, 4.
3, 3, 4. Yeah.
But still, 10 is a really solid core.
Yeah. And then you can start piecemeal upgrading from there. Like maybe I don't need Winter Soldier in this one. I can take Ghost Rider. Now we're at a 12. Like you can start going in. Yeah, so I think that's kind of the direction that I'll go. I got 6. I got 4 more. Who else do we want here? I like Hela in this list. Once again, she gets a bunch of benefits from bleeding people. We've already got a Venom. We've got a Winter Soldier. We've got a Blade that all bleed people. She bleeds people for Blade. All of those characters bleed things back for her. She gets rerolls on her Spender attack Armies of Hell. It's been a long time since I looked at that card. But
it's something like that. It's been a little bit since I've run it too. But yeah, and something just kind of both Venom and Hela both out of affiliation, but they're also both on that 50mm base, so the bump helps get them a little bit farther too.
Yep. I like it. And I think Hela is Hela's another character. Yeah, exactly. Uses that bump in the night really well, right? Because she doesn't have any mobility ways to move and then attack twice. So I think you can definitely use that with Hela. Also brings in some mystic attacks, which I guess Blade has too.
Yep.
Does Hela have mystic attacks?
She's got the range for 6 dice, mystic-y voodoo stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, it's been a long time since I looked at a Hela. Long time. So I look at that. So that gives us 3 more characters.
We could 2 if you include Rocket.
Yeah, 3 more if we count Rocket, right?
2 more if you count Rocket. Right now I've got Blade, Ghost Rider, Voodoo, Moon Knight, Winter Soldier, Venom, Hela, Rocket.
Perfect. We could do Wong. We got some big, beefy characters that take a long time to KO. And Wong can heal those characters, which I like a lot, especially on characters like Ghost Rider. It also gives us 2 2s, which is nice, and an affiliated 2, so we could go down.
Affiliated 2 is always nice.
A 9 point there. Yeah, let's put Wong in there.
All right. Leaving us with 1 slot left.
1 slot left. All right, are you ready for my completely out of left field here?
Absolutely.
This guy's a character that does not get played enough, in my opinion. And I love Black Dwarf with this leadership.
Ooh, I like it. I thought you were about to say Hulk, but
I don't think we can afford a 6 and a Ghost Rider at a 5.
I mean, probably
in the same list, right? I mean, you could do it. We could play a 15-point list of Blade, Ghost Rider, Hulk. And I don't know if I would be sad about that list now that I'm thinking about it.
I mean, throw that on Gamma Shelters and just have fun.
Yeah. All right, you may have talked me into Hulk here, but Black Dwarf I really like with Bump in the Night. It helps a lot of his mobility stuff, and then obviously the guy just hits like an absolute truck. So he's got a good throw. There aren't a bunch of throws in this list.
Yeah. I like that call too. Just the ability to have a little bit of not necessarily like making you a control-centric list by any means, but just having a way to for him to hold a point and continue holding it on his own is never going to be a bad thing.
He is very durable for holding a point, and he's very large. And in the most recent update, we changed a lot of the characters' pushes and throws to not be able to throw size 4 stuff. So very difficult to dislodge as a character.
Yeah,
so.
that too.
All right, there's my 10.
Cool. So we've got the 10. And from here, do you start looking at tactics cards or crisis cards first?
I think a little bit of both. There's going to be just some base tactic cards you want to take, though, right? Like you're going to take Siege of Darkness. You're going to take Lethal Protector with Venom. I actually have it written down in front of me, but I don't know if there's any other character specifics or affiliation specifics that I would go for. Banishment's kind of cute.
You got Banishment. You got Bats.
You got Bats.
Oh, that sounds exciting. I guess we're adding Bats.
Yeah, go ahead and put Bats in there. Let's do it.
Ghost Rider has a couple of character-specific cards if you wanted to throw one of those in.
Absolutely. I think we want both of those. Highway to Hell, and I don't remember the name of the one that brings him back.
Deal with the Devil.
Deal with the Devil, that one.
All right.
Love both of those cards. So that puts us at Siege of Darkness, Lethal Protector, Deal with the Devil,
Highway to Hell, and Bats.
And Bats. We got 5. We get 5 more. We have no restricted cards yet.
No restricted cards as of now.
I really like Patch Up on Blade. Because if he does get dazed and there's a bunch of bleeding characters, you can patch him up and then he goes and fully heals.
Field dressing?
Or field dressing, sorry.
Yep,
I also like Patch Up though.
Both are good. Healing things is good.
Yeah. Though I think I would probably do Brace for Impact over Patch Up in this list.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't have really any defense against throws. We're not particularly tanky against physical stuff. And that is how I find a lot of characters sort of get dazed in one activation. And anything that can stop you from spiking Blade super hard can keep him in the fight a little bit longer. So I would go with that one.
Yeah, and I feel like it's also like just something that I always look at. Like if I have a list that has a lot of throws myself, like if I'm running Brotherhood, I'm not as concerned about bringing something like Brace just because usually I'm trying to throw that terrain first anyway.
Yeah. So that puts us at 7?
7.
3 more. I always like
extra room.
I know. I always like Tactical Analysis. That card is great.
Yep, and again, helps those characters like Venom and Black Dwarf with the short move, getting them a little bit of extra boost.
Absolutely. If you want to get cheeky, you can put in the training card that makes them speed long.
Yeah, Extreme Conditioning. It's a fun one.
Go. I love the art on that card. Like Taskmaster whipping Spider-Man into shape.
Yeah.
Just the best. We're going full free recall on what tactic cards to take here.
I feel like you could always justify Disarm.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites as well. Though I will say this list is usually lower character count, I think. So it's a little harder to get the 2 characters close.
That's fair.
I totally forgot about my love of Groot in this list.
I mean, we can totally go back and bump somebody up for Groot, and then bring both We Are Groot and Deadly Duo since you've already got Rocket in here.
Ooh, okay, no, let's do that. Let's swap Black Dwarf for Groot.
All right,
and then take We Are Groot and Deadly Duo.
I like it.
And just way overcommit into this Rocket Groot pair. Why not?
But at the same time, the threat of being able to be like, oh yeah, here's Siege of Darkness and Deadly Duo in the same turn.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I am in.
It sounds hilarious to be on the side that's playing it. That is.
That sounds fantastic. Okay, so we've got our we've got our tactic cards. We've got our roster. Now we've got to move into Crisis. I really do like cube fragments for these characters. A lot of these characters are pretty tanky. We've got a lot of healing. So I think we can definitely get away with that one for extracts. I, in general, just really like Montesi formula because I think it's amazing, and I think it's super fluffy with Blade. So I would do that one. And I don't know, there's just always something funny about like reading a spell book and shooting energy beams at people that I'm very excited for.
Yeah, one of my favorite interactions that you have done this all completely on your own, but giving Venom a spell book, and so then he gets to do a beam attack on somebody else's turn.
I love it. I love it. Yes, so let's do Montesi formula, infinity cube fragments, and So I'm gonna go look up a list here.
Yeah, something I usually like when I think of something that wants to punch and Midnight Suns, it specifically this version of it certainly wants to do the punchy stuff. Is you want to bring hammers, but I feel like there's a lot of tactic cards that you want to make sure you have access to, and so hammers is can become very costly.
Yeah, I really enjoy hammers as a crisis, but I think you've hit the nail on the head here. That we don't necessarily want to do that one here. I do like Spider Infected. That's going to be the last one for me. And I like Spider Infected because Bump in the Night can help you get around your characters getting moved, but they don't have that.
Yeah, that's really nice. Just you have a passively better team that's able to handle that more than what the other team can.
And then on to secures. Everybody loves Infinity Formula, right?
I mean, I certainly do. More power, more better.
Yeah, absolutely. I also like this list with Riot Spark over Extremist 3.0 because we've already got sort of a healing motif going on here. And then just more healing from that crisis can give you a lot of stuff here. So I would do that one. And then I don't remember where this ended up, but does Mutant Madman turn City Center into lethal amusement park still put bleed on people?
I don't. It does one damage.
Does one damage? Okay.
Does one damage.
Well, we'll take that one still because I think
about to say you still really, you probably still really like it because it requires the physical defense and just looking. It's like, oh, Blade, he's rolling 4. Venom, Groot are all, and Helen are all rolling 4 physical defense, so you kind of have some natural affinity for that too.
I am in. Let's do that one, and I think that's a B map, right? Which is the
that's the square, yeah.
Which I think we got a good list for that because we got Rock and Groot on one side, and you can put Winter Soldier, Blade, and stuff on the other side. So,
yep, and then just let Ghost Rider do circles around the map as he needs to.
He can go wherever he wants.
He really can.
So fast.
Yeah, now with the extra power generation, he just books it to anywhere he wants to be. He'll get there.
Oh yeah. All right, there we go. One roster.
One completed roster. Thank you again so much for joining me for this, kind of walking us through your process, building out a pretty lethal looking Midnight Suns roster, if I do say so myself. It looks like a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a blast, and maybe I'll play this on my next game night. We'll see.
Yes, do it. Awesome. So then I guess in this next episode that you all will get to listen to, we will have your counterpart, your rival for at least this span of time for which it happens, where we will be talking with Will Schick and go through his roster of villains and ultimately see how he goes about the process. Thank you all for checking out this first episode of the Gamers Guild podcast. I'm really excited to see what opportunities this opens up for what could be explored here that doesn't necessarily translate well to a video format. In our next episode, I will be joined by Will's rival, Will Schick, to see how he goes about building his roster of heroes and the villains that are just the heroes of their own story. Then, after you have listened to both of those, you'll be able to see these lists in action in a head-to-head battle report where the two lists will battle it out for, I guess, office bragging rights. Thank you all for listening, and until next time, keep on gaming.